Started with the holy name of Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful. Today we are going to start Western political thought. It's a topic of political science, paper 1 for CSS preparation. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल प्लेटो जो है इसका जो टाइम पीरियड है मेनली वो 427 टू 347 है इसका लाइफ स्पैन. प्लेटो बर्थ 428 BCE. फादर मदर डाइड. फर्स्ट और मैरिड प्री-लेम्स इस ग्रीक फिलोसोफर एम्बेसडर ऑफ पर्शिया. इससे क्या हुआ था? ड्यू टू अ लैक ऑफ प्राइमरी सोर्स from the time period, scholars through his writings and the writings of contemporaries and classical historians have constructed much of Plato's life. Traditional history estimates Plato की birth कब हुई है? 427 BCE में. And Plato father died when he was young and his mother remarried to his uncle. Uncle is Pyrrhus, a Greek politician and ambassador to Persia. Plato is believed to have had like two brothers and one sister and a half brother, though it is not certain where he falls in the birth order. Often, members of Plato's pride in his family lineage. As a young man, Plato experienced two major events in his life. क्या हुआ था कि इसके प्लाटो के एक्सपीरियंस है लाइफ में, टू मेजर इवेंट्स. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल तो ये कि ही मैट अ ग्रीक फिलोसोफर. yes, he met a Greek philosopher. Plato's family appeared to be ग्रीक फिलोसोफर से मिला जो कि Socrates है. एंड Socrates मेथड ऑफ dialogue and debate impressed Plato very much that he soon become so close and associate and dedicated his life to the question of virtue and the formation of a noble character. The other thing he met Socrates and the second one thing is यहाँ पे क्या हुआ था? एक वॉर हुई थी. द वॉर नेम इज़ पेलोपोनेशियन वॉर बिटवीन एथेंस और स्पार्टा. 409 and 404 BCE ended its and the defeat of Athens democracy. Spartan replaced with an Gallery and relatives of Plato, Charmides and Cretians. Prominent figure in the new government, part of notorious 30 tyrants. Reduced the rights of Athenian citizen. Oligarchy was overthrown and democracy was restored. यहाँ पे क्या हुआ था? डेमोक्रेसी रिस्टोर्ड हो गई थी. इसको हम थोड़ा सा एक्सप्लेन कर देते हैं कि हाउ दीज ऑल थिंग्स हैपन्स. Socrates' methods of dialogue and debate impressed Plato so much that he became a close associate and dedicated his life to the question of virtue and the formation of a noble career. The other significant event was the Peloponnesian War between Athens and Sparta, in which Plato served significant event. For this significant event between this time between 409 to 404 BC, in the defeat of Athens ended its democracy, which the Spartans replaced with an oligarchy. Two of Plato relatives, Charmides and Cretians, जैसे कि मैंने पहले आपको बताया, were severely reduced the right of Athenian citizens, and after the oligarchy overthrown and democracy was restored, and Plato briefly considered a career in politics, but execution of Socrates in 399 BCE showed him sold him to this idea and he turned his life of to study and philosophy. वो अपनी ज़िंदगी को उसने वक्फ कर दिया स्टडी एंड फिलोसफी की तरफ. अच्छा जी, उसके बाद क्या हुआ? आफ्टर द डेथ ऑफ सोक्रेट्स, प्लेटो ट्रेवल टू 12 years थ्रू आउट द मेडिटेरियन रीजन्स. और वहाँ पे उसने क्या स्टडी किया? मैथमेटिक्स विद द Pythagoreans in Italy and the geometry, geography, geology, astronomy and religion in Egypt. इजिप्ट में जाके उसने रिलीजन को स्टडी किया ड्यूरिंग दिस टाइम और सून आफ्टर ही बिगिन द एक्सटेंसिव राइटिंग्स. Sometime around 385 BCE, प्लेटो फाउंडेड अ स्कूल ऑफ लर्निंग. प्लेटो ने ख़ुद का भी एक स्कूल बनाया, अ स्कूल ऑफ लर्निंग नोन एज द एकेडमी, विच ही प्रिजाइडेड ओवर अनटिल द डेथ. उसने अपनी डेथ तक उसको रन किया. एंड इट इज़ बिलीव द स्कूल वॉज लोकेटेड एट एन इनक्लोज्ड पार्क नेम्ड फॉर लेजेंडरी एथनियंस हीरो. वहाँ पे ये लोकेटेड था पार्क के करीब स्कूल. Plato hoped the academy would provide a place for future leader to discover how to build a better government in Greek city states. I think we are going to describe in this Plato theory. Plato एक आइडियल स्टेट पे बिलीव करता था. ठीक है, हम यहाँ पे देख लेते हैं कि हमने क्या यहाँ पे राइट किया. प्लेटो बुक नेम इज़ रिपब्लिक. प्लेटो ने एक बुक लिखी थी जिसका नाम है रिपब्लिक, पोर्ट्रेस आइडियल स्टेट और फिलोसोफर किंग रूल्ड बाय द रीज़न. इन दिस रिपब्लिक बुक प्लेटो पोर्ट्रेस आइडियल स्टेट. He considered ideal state as the panacea for the crisis. Okay, for the crisis, and he saw in city state the ideal state is to be ruled by the philosopher king. Okay, conceived in his pursuit of reason. मैंने पहले बताया कि ये रन की जाती है ऑन द रीज़न एंड इन द पोर्ट्रेड ऑफ द आइडियल स्टेट ही वेंट वेयर एवर रीज़न लेड हिम. ओके, ही केयर्ड लिटिल वेदर सच अ स्टेट कैन एवर एग्जिस्ट सिंस ही वॉन्टेड टू गिव द मॉडल ऑफ द बेस्ट स्टेट. ठीक है, बेस्ट स्टेट. एंड ही केयर्ड लिटिल वेदर इट वॉज ओनली यूटोपिया cut off from reality है. and he model state was meant to be a model for all times and all places. ठीक है, all time or all places. Plato himself admits that the ideal state is difficult of realization. ठीक है, वो कहते हैं कि आइडियल स्टेट जो है वो डिफ़िकल्ट टू रियलाइजेशन है. बट प्लेटो वॉज इक्वली क्लियर दैट एन आइडिया फॉर्म ऑफ स्टेट must be given to influence the construction of actual state. Following the characteristics will be mentioned for the Plato's ideal state. The first one is division of labor. ठीक है, due to lack of time and capacity क्या होना चाहिए? वो कहते हैं कि सबको सब कुछ नहीं मिल सकता. मेनली ये बात है. एवरीबडी कैन नॉट मीट all his wants and desires for lack of time and capacity. He has therefore to depend on others, and mutual cooperation is essential for human being. So a socially resting upon the division of labor is the expression of man's nature, and in this way people come closer to for the satisfaction and of their reciprocal needs and फॉर्म ऑफ स्टेट. जैसे हम कह सकते हैं कि जो इंसान है वो एक सोशल एनिमल है और वो विद लॉनली वो सारे चीज़ों को परफॉर्म नहीं कर सकता. he must have people with the talk to each other and give their problems. ठीक है, उनको प्रॉब्लम को आप हल करें और कुछ आपके प्रॉब्लम्स को हल किया जाएगा, देन ही वो ज़िंदगी की सेटिस्फेक्शन हासिल कर सकता है. द सेकेंड थिंग इज़ फंक्शनल स्पेशलाइजेशन. वो कहते हैं कि कुछ लोगों का जो एप्टीट्यूड है वो अच्छा होता है कुछ चीज़ों में. ठीक है, नॉट इन एनी एवरीथिंग बट कुछ चीज़ों में. सम पीपल हैव बेटर एप्टीट्यूड फॉर सर्टन थिंग्स डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द प्रीडोमिनेंस ऑफ पर्टिकुलर एलिमेंट. ठीक है, उसके प्रीडोमिनेंस पर्टिकुलर एलिमेंट पर डिपेंड करता है. They show greater efficiency in those things which are of their after their nature. ठीक है, आपकी नेचर जिस चीज़ को पसंद करती है, आपका जहाँ पे इंटरेस्ट है, तो ऑब्वियसली यू हैव टू डू एंड यू मस्ट डू द थिंग विद ग्रेट एफिशिएंसी, and this depends upon the predominance of the particular element in the soul. The soul is consist of 4 elements. This is the more sorry 3 elements. ठीक है, कौन कौन से एलिमेंट्स हैं? द फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल इज़ रीज़न, स्पिरिट एंड एपिटाइट. एपिटाइट क्या है? इज इरेशनल होता है एंड एन एले ऑफ प्लेजर एंड सेटिस्फेक्शन. एपिटाइट की मदद से हमें प्लेजर एंड सेटिस्फेक्शन मिलता है एंड इट्स स्प्रिंग लव, हंगर, थ्रस्ट एंड डिज़ायर्स. इसके अंदर चीज़ें आती हैं, इसको लव भी चाहिए, हंगर भी होता है, थर्स्ट आता है और डिज़ायर्स. हमारे अंदर डिज़ायर्स पैदा होते हैं, आई वॉन्ट डू दिस और आई वॉन्ट दिस थिंग इन माई लाइफ, दिस ऑल. उसके बाद रीज़न क्या है? एलिमेंट्स ऑफ रीज़न इज़ element of reason is superb insofar as it guides right action and create bond of union between members. Okay, is which is going to help men know the right path and forges love. ठीक है, उसके बाद जो कि इंसान को राइट पाथ दिखाता है. मिडवे बिटवीन द टू कम्स द स्पिरिट. ठीक है, इनके दरमियान में जो चीज़ आती है ना वो है स्पिरिट. दरमियान में इन दोनों चीज़ों के रीज़न और एपिटाइट के दरमियान में जो चीज़ आती है वो क्या है? वो स्पिरिट है. इट रिप्रेजेंट्स शिवलरी, ओके, ऑनर एंड प्राइड. These all comes from the spirit. It inspires individual to stakes and bottles. Stakes and bottles and all the 3 motivating forces are present in every individual. However, they differ in dominance, or one of them is always dominant. The other 2 are always subordinate, and in a society, men will group themselves according to the element dominant in them. In this way, society is divided into 2 classes. ठीक है, क्लासेस सोसाइटी को हमने 2 क्लासेस में डिवाइड किया है. द रूलर्स हैव रीज़न टू प्रीडोमिनेंट. ठीक है, और वर्डियर्स की स्पिरिट, और जो एंड पे आता है सबऑर्डिनेट्स. ओके, दीज आर द होल्डर ऑफ एपिटाइट प्रीडोमिनेंस. In a society, men will group themselves according to the element predominant in them. In this way, society is divided into these classes. If allowed continuously as work on job, they would attain specialization of function. Plato believed that, ठीक है, प्लेटो ये इस बात पर बिलीव करता है दैट द स्पेशलाइजेशन विद डेफिशिएंटली वर्क टूवर्ड ब्रिंगिंग मोर यूनिटी इन द स्टेट एंड द एलिमेंट ऑफ अनलिमिटेड कंप्लीशन विल एलिमिनेटेड. ठीक है, एलिमिनेटेड. द थर्ड थिंग वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस इज जस्टिस इन स्टेट, जो कि प्लेटो की आइडियल स्टेट में एक इम्पॉर्टेंट पार्ट है. प्लेटो theory of fictional specialization is a direct corollary of his theory of justice. Justice means the efficient performance by the individual of his allotted task in society. Plato advocates that classes must be confined to their own specific functions to the state, and their selfishness must give place to alter devotion of the state. The principle of specialization must be applied so as to prevent artisan working in any other field of life. The upper classes would not be compelled to perform the tasks which are the proper functions of the Aristians. If the people mind their own business and do not meddle with the affairs of other, justice is the state will prevail. हर इंसान को चाहिए कि वो अपने काम से काम रखे, ठीक है। उसको चाहिए कि जो काम उसे दिया गया है, जो उसको काम सौंपा गया है, उसको वो फुलफ़िल करे, रादर दैन द डिस्कसिंग विद अदर्स, और दूसरी चीज़ों को करने से बेहतर है कि वो अपने काम को बेहतर तरीके से करे, ठीक है। द नेक्स्ट थिंग इज़ theory ऑफ एजुकेशन, ठीक है। That every individual must realize and devote himself to perform the duty allotted to him could be realized according to Plato only though the state controlled system of education. System of education जो control कर सकता है वो सिर्फ state है. He therefore placed his name reliance upon education for the realization for his ideal state to be ruled by philosophy. He attached paramount importance to it, and in fact the role played by education in Plato's state is so striking that some philosophers call it to be the chief topic of republic. वो कहते हैं, कुछ लोगों ने ये कहा कि मेनली जो रिपब्लिक का चीफ टॉपिक है वो क्या है, एजुकेशन ही है. दैट इज़ वाई रूसियो सैड रिपब्लिक इज़ हार्डली political word at all, but it is the finest treaty on education that ever was written. The system of education is meant for both the sexes. Elementary education was open to all. It was at the end of elementary education that is sorting out test was held, and those eliminated formed the economic and the producing class. They are not fit for higher education. Now we will move to aim of education. Aim of education क्या है? The aim of education is the way to make an individual a complete personality. उसकी एक complete personality हो, a dutiful citizen and an able, efficient and public spirited administrator. The purpose of education is to develop character. पहली बात तो है कि character develop हो, ठीक है, and to train the mind. The second aim of Platonic education is to adjust the curricular of education in the stage of intellect growth of the people. System of education जो है हमारा, it is divided into two parts. First of all is elementary and the second one is higher education. Elementary is 3 to 20 years old तक है ये, and the higher education is 20 to 35. Elementary education क्या है? It starts at the age of 3 and ends at 20, and it is divided into 3 sub stages. The first stage, ठीक है, 3 sub stages हैं, जिसमें first stage क्या है? This stage intends from the age of 3 to 6, and children is in this age group are to be imparted education through the narration of mythological stories which include certain morals and religious truths. The second rule stage extends from 7 to 18. दूसरा जो है वो 7 to 18 है stage, and during these years they are to be given the lessons of gymnastics, in reading and writing, taught music, poetry and mathematics. In the third stage, ठीक है, ये कब तक है? 18 to 20, and training is more gymnastics is to be imparted. आगे जो दूसरी हमारे पास स्टेज थी वो है हायर एजुकेशन. देयर वाज टू बी वो कहते हैं हायर एजुकेशन में क्या होना चाहिए. There was to be an eliminating test of at the age of 20. Those who failed were to become low-rank soldiers and warriors, and while the intellectually brighter are selected for carrying on the work of statecraft. उनको statecraft के work के लिए select कर लिया जाता है. ठीक है. Okay, at the age of 30, another eliminating test is held. Those who secure less distinguished position, ठीक है, उनको क्या 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 किया जाता है, एंटर द administrative positions and auxiliaries. Those who secure super positions in that test continue the study for another 5 years is dialectics, and later in ethics. At the age of 35, those who successfully completed their advanced education are assigned civil and military administration position for 15 years. 15 years तक वो वहाँ पे काम करते. This period of 15 years is thus the apprenticeship period. At the age of 50, those who have demonstrated real ability and served with genius distinction become the ruling guardians. From here emerges the idea of philosopher king. One is rule of philosophy. Rule of philosophy क्या है? In this way, the people who got education up to 35 and training for another period of 15 years were to become the philosopher rulers and the aristocracy of intellect. So, trained is to be unchecked by any limitation whatsoever. He is the only draftman of a constitution. Here Plato applies the favorite analogy of the doctor and the patient. ठीक है. And just as it is the function of the doctor to prescribe, similarly it is the function of philosopher ruler to do whatever he considers fit and necessary. जैसे डॉक्टर की बात को हम इम्पोर्टेंस देते हैं, we are just टेकिंग द मेडिसन और पूरी एक रूटीन को फॉलो करते हैं. इसी तरह फिलोसोफर का काम है कि वो नेसेसरी चीज़ें बताए और उन्हीं पे काम कराए. थ्योरी ऑफ कम्युनिज्म. कम्युनिज्म ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी है, कम्युनिज्म ऑफ फैमिली है, उसके बाद क्रिटिसिज्म है, एंड आइडियल स्टेट एज मिथ. सो सबसे पहले हम डिस्कस करेंगे कम्युनिज्म ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी. द गार्डियन वर एज सच नॉट टू हैव एनी private property, whether landed or otherwise. They were to be provided everything by the state. Plato truly realized that the philosopher ruler who was to be given the monopoly of political power would become corrupt and demoralized if economic power were also placed in his hands. दूसरी चीज़ क्या थी? कम्युनिज्म ऑफ फैमिली है. प्लेटो नॉट ओनली अबॉलिश्ड प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी फॉर हिज क्लासेस बट डिनाइड देम फैमिलीज ऑल्सो. द चिल्ड्रन एंड वाइव्स अकॉर्डिंग टू प्लेटो आर द सोर्स ऑफ पर्सनल अटैचमेंट एंड अफेक्शंस. They would stand in the way of proper discharge of functions on the part of the guardian classes. He would therefore allow no such thing as family, but by family Plato meant permanent sexual relations with one wife. ठीक है. He therefore advocated a state control system of mating. Only the suitable parents would be mated. This is necessary with a view to produce the best type of children. Plato fixes even age limits with which mating would be allowed. Criticism क्या है? But the ideal state as portrayed by Plato has been described as only a utopia, impossible of putting into reality. Such a state by never existed in the history and never shall come to existence. His theory of ideal state has as such been subjected to various points of criticism as given. Okay. Ideal state, a myth. Ideal state, a myth. Okay. The very nation of the ideal state is regarded a myth by the modern social thinkers. They hold that the conception of society have been a scientific foundation. A metaphysical or mystic religious interpretation of society is nothing but abuse and unreasonable. These things are not written here because these are the short things. I wanted to cover it by speaking. Watertight compartmentship compa कम डिटेल्ड राइट नहीं की हुई, बस इसको मेंशन किया हुआ है थ्रू द टॉपिक. Compartmentalization impossible. Plato commends the division of society on the basis of functional specialization, but this watertight compartmentalization is impossible of realization in view of the complex personality of an individual and the changing circumstances. Founder of totalitarianism, ठीक है. Plato, due to his conception of ideal state, is said to be the founder of totalitarianism. He gives all the power in the hands of philosopher rule. Narrow conception of education. The Platonic conception of education is narrow to extend, is obviously meant for the guardian class, and it gives no scheme for the education of economic and or producing class. The deplorable disbelief in the capacity of masses. Plato disbelieved in the capacity of masses to rule themselves, highly deplorable. Philosopher rulers identity, self-interest. The single or a new philosopher rulers are more likely to identify their self-interest with the public interest, as man is after all man. Armed with unchangeable power, he is likely to stabilize his own position and power. Philosophy and kingship cannot go together. Philosophy and kingship cannot go together. How? Administration requires practical insight into the complexes, whereas philosophy leads to abstract contemplation. So Byrne points out very rightly that the rule of such philosophers might easily become a rule of the saints. Educational curriculum insufficient for rulers. The absence of the study of military training, law, would hampers his ability to a ruler. More philosophy is not match for the difficult and intricate task of government. And we have communism of wives impossible. It will only debase the ages old institutions of marriage, which is greatest link of human associations. Next topic जो हम cover करेंगे in the next video, it is about also Plato education state. And now my video is end. Please like, subscribe and share this channel and watch the complete video. I hope you understand this topic.